Okay, so to fast forward to today's WWE,
Yeah,
since it is WrestleMania season, let's talk about the Hall of Fame. Who do you think is gonna? Who do you think should be in the Hall of Fame?
that's a good
I feel like
question.
John Cena is like more likely going to be in it. But besides the point, who should be in the Hall of Fame?
So that's a good point. I don't know if they put Cena in this year. They could put him in next year, but they have already set the precedent by putting in guys like Paul Heyman and Rey Mysterio while
Rey
they're still
Mysterio?
active. Yeah. So I could see them putting John Cena in. Will they do it? Don't know. Aside from him, I would like to see a guy like William Regal, who is back with the company. He's working behind the scenes. I think William Regal certainly earns that distinction to be in the Hall of Fame. Network says the
Mm-hmm.
Hardys. The Hardys is a possibility. We have the partnership between TNA and WWE, so that's a possibility. Certainly,
Yeah. Another one would probably be Victoria
you beat me to it. Yeah,
because I feel like she's really underrated. And fire theme song, by the way.
it never had a bad theme song. William Regal in
Uh,
WCW was vicious. Steve Regal, that's right. Victoria's a good shot as well. A former women's champion, one of the leading stars of the ruthless aggression era, which is definitely an era in wrestling that certainly is looked back upon fondly because of the work that people like Victoria, Lita, Trish, Molly
mhm.
Holly, the in ring work, Gail Kim, Mickey James, that they were able to
Yeah.
put in. I mean, these are a lot of women out there who helped pave the way for the way the business has evolved now. And I think Victoria, I think you're right. What about someone from the past? I'm talking like the golden era, new generation era. There's always someone who is someone of the older generation that finds a way into the Hall of Fame.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to think a little bit harder on this one.
Yeah, because I feel like there's
Uh,
there's a lot to take away from. It's just a matter
yeah.
of who isn't in. Go ahead and comment in the chat there. Throw out some suggestions. Who you guys think would be solid candidates for this year's Hall of Fame? Usually, it seems like we're only getting 4 to 5 nominees or inductees into the Hall of Fame. I think John is a solid one. I think Victoria is good. William Regal, but there's always someone who's like
Okay.
an older legend there, and I'm trying to think who hasn't been in the Hall of Fame. You know who hasn't been in the Hall of Fame yet? Miss Elizabeth.
Who?
Miss
Oh
Elizabeth.
yeah.
Again, I don't know if they would put her in now or if they would include her because Victoria would be there. You know who? Okay, I don't think Lex Luger is in, is he?
I don't know. Actually, I do have a question.
Yeah,
Is Diamond Dallas Page in the Hall of Fame?
DDP is in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I think he
What
came
year
in.
was he?
Man, I think it might have been 2018 or 2016. It was one of those.
Hmm.
But he is in the Hall of Fame, rightfully so. I think DDP is a fantastic story. I mean, here's a guy who really broke out into main event wrestling in like his late 30s. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
just gave up on him and he kept with it. And for him to become the star that he did, love DDP. He's one of my favorite WCW stars for sure.
I'm still trying to think who else should make it into the Hall of Fame because I feel like
There's some guys I
there's a
think
lot.
but they're in AEW, so they're not going to be there. Like Christian, I think for sure. Chris Jericho for sure, but they're like over there in AEW, so they're not going to be in the Hall of
Is
Fame
JB on the
just
Hall
yet.
of Fame?
JBL,
Yeah.
yeah, 2021, 2021 Hall of
Hmm.
Fame.
What about guys like a Dean Malenko?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's in AEW too, but I think Dean Malenko for sure is a great pick as well. They might just start having to go through
What if?
guys who are still on the roster.
So I know this person's not a wrestler,
Yeah, hey,
but
but they could still be.
since they put celebrities in the Hall of Fame like a Drew Carey, I think Cyndi Lauper should be in that as well.
You're
Wouldn't you
speak
agree?
you're speaking my language. I love Cyndi Lauper, dude. Like whether it's Cyndi Lauper in wrestling or her music, I'm a fan. I don't care what people say. I'm a fan of Cyndi Lauper, and if they continue to do the celebrity wing in the Hall of Fame, Cyndi Lauper, they
Hmm.
literally had it. WrestleMania 40. 40, the round number. Cyndi Lauper was an instrumental part of the very first WrestleMania. They could still do it this year and play it off as like, oh, 40 years later, they could do that. But Cyndi Lauper, how is she not in the Hall of Fame as a celebrity inductee? That for me is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Another
I agree
one.
with you.
Yeah, another one who should be in it. And I know they're not a wrestler, but I feel like Jim Johnston at least he should get some recognition.
Hey, shout out to Jim Johnston. Had some of the greatest music, greatest entrance themes in pro wrestling history. Jim Johnston for
Yeah.
sure should be in consideration. And who cares if he wasn't on TV? Like, if you're a wrestling fan, odds are you heard of the name Jim Johnston. And if you haven't heard his name, you've certainly heard his work. We're talking about guys like The Undertaker, The Rock, Triple H. Some of the greatest theme songs of all time were composed by Jim Johnston. I love that pick. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so I had like a huge like brain fart, I guess you would say. What about Batista?
Dude, that's an interesting one because Batista was announced for the 2021 Hall of Fame. And then he kind of backed out. So he's technically not in the Hall of Fame, even though he was going to be in the Hall of Fame. So
Yeah,
Batista,
because Batista was a big part of my childhood.
yeah. Kevin says Vader. I believe Vader got inducted in
I believe he
20
was
the same year as
inducted.
Undertaker,
Yeah, because they waited until he passed away, no?
which is ridiculous that they waited till he
I
passed
know.
away. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a quick check here. I'm pretty sure Vader's in the Hall of Fame, class
I'm
of
pretty sure as well.
2022.
Another one. So, okay, I don't know if this is controversial, but what about guys like Brian Pillman?
I just want to confirm. Yes, he was in the Hall of Fame 2022. Brian Pillman. Yeah, I would say so.
Because I know there's a certain guy he won't be in the Hall of Fame for obvious reason. But what about yeah? What about him?
No, Brian Pillman for sure. I can see them putting him in, and not only that, but because Lexus
Mhm.
King is with the company, he can induct him, and Brian
That's
Pillman for
why.
sure. Muhammad says he keeps on delaying it for some reason, and who will induct Batista? I'm thinking a guy like Triple H or Ric Flair. I think one of those guys
Mhm.
would be the ones to induct him. Their time in evolution, taking him under his wing. I would think Triple H or Ric Flair. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%.